Guys, I'm bringing the party to you.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
You big dummy. Oh, great Odin's raven.
Say hello to my little friend.
I stepped in a ditch last night, man. I almost closed my balls off, man.
You take drugs, Danny?
Every day. Good.
What's the problem?
Yeah, David.
Oh, no punches beer well without.
I'm the doctor.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
This aggression will not stand, man.
Engage. Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Pulp Culture Cafe Radio. So I am going to be changing it. If you are part of the group that actually downloads it, and I thank you for that, I am going to change things up. I do this every once in a while, mostly for myself, so I don't get too bored. We are going to be rebranding to Pulp Culture Cafe Radio, which basically means that if you've been following or downloading, you'll see that at least twice on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's classic thrillers and classic sci-fi. Well, I'll be adding classic westerns and classic comedy, and then switching up with classic heroes. Oh, he's taking a coat hanger to himself, Scott. So, anyways, so it's there'll be some changes to the icon and stuff like that. It's just to keep it, and then we'll be going from actually just they'll be coming out and they'll be ranked as episodes 2, but we're gonna start with news. Finally, I'll get a new season 13. I figured start a new year, season 13, and I believe this is episode 321. I went online and looked. Yep. So it is myself again and Scott / Tits McGee on the other end. Yep. And we're doing this over Skype. We usually do it over Skype. We used to do it at the comic book shop. But so we get the show in a row. Says, come on in, take a seat yourself, take a seat in the corner booth, and let's get our geek on. And basically, let's get this boat on the road. And Mr. Newshound, as Scott would say, or as Kevin Smith would say to Mark Rebarn, he's the news hound. I simply sit back and react. I have my own little things, but we're just going to start with, first thing, let's start with a few things that we've watched in the last little while that we want to bring up.
I would like to talk about something you mentioned there, that we used to do this show at Comic Fever.
Yeah.
We used to do this show at Comic Fever. Now, this is a little bit of a plug for the store. One of the reasons we can't now is because there's no fucking room around that table to do it, because he has so much stock in there now.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you've been to the Comic Fever I think it's .ca website, but they have so much stuff. They have comics, they have posters, they have figures. ComicFever.ca. I'm telling you, it's amazing. He I bust Lee's balls quite a bit, but he has a fantastic store, and I've been in all of them here in Edmonton, and he really does have one of the best stores in Edmonton. So,
well, he gets people down from Calgary and other places, and they all love the store.
Exactly.
He seems to be getting at least 1 to 2 new file customer every week. It averages out at least 1 or 2 every week because he's getting so many.
Exactly.
So that's where we used to do it. It's crowded in there. It's crowded actually on Wednesday nights when we used to do it every Wednesday nights.
Oh, fuck yeah.
We could have the place to ourselves.
Yeah. It's not like that anymore.
No, it gets busy at night. So he's doing really well. Even with the distributors, screwing up with the distributors, with Diamond and other things being sometimes 2 weeks late on books. Yep. So, yeah, it's... check it out.
In that vein...
Yeah.
Did you want to maybe start with that story?
Well, let's start with what we're talking about with the TV shows and stuff. So
Sure. Okay.
I probably should wait for Paul to come and join us, but he can give a little tidbit on it. That's because he has watched this or watched most of it. So Silo on Apple TV.
Okay.
At first, it was another another dystopia TV show. I figured I'd give it a shot, and been watching the program so long that I just figured, okay, I know the path they're going here. So the main character, or her boyfriend, is killed. She doesn't believe they say it was a suicide. She believes he was killed. That leads her to start finding information about what's going on. Well, the first part of this few episodes, it brings, there's two different characters. There's the sheriff and his wife. The wife starts to find out stuff about the silo, stuff that's outside the silo. She ends up saying to go out. If you want to go out, you have to. They take it as law and they send you out. And she goes out. Surface has happened there. A few years later, her husband does the same and goes out. During that time, while he's still around, he meets his old girlfriend down in what they call the bottom, which is where all the mechanical is. Keeps the place running.
Okay.
He makes her the new sheriff, which goes bad. A lot of people don't like, especially the higher ups. And during that process, she starts to learn about what happened actually to her boyfriend, and she finds more and more stuff out. And eventually, they kick her out, saying that she wanted to go out, and it follows that from her doing that to her finding out what's going on to her actually finding out what's going on. And the twist is that when she gets out, she saw this earlier, but she sees blue skies and birds and grass. Well, when they look through what they call the lens that shows outside, it shows just rubble. Yes. Everything's barren.
Yep.
Well, she learns, and as she goes and starts to learn more, most people that leave the silo, they're supposed to clean the lens. They clean the lens so people can see out that it's still bad. Everything goes fine. She didn't. She walked away. This fucks with everybody's heads. No one's done that before. And the interesting part is that when she's out, you think, okay, she's going to get out. She's finally going to see what everything happened. But there's a twist, which really, I thought, oh, God, finally, something a little bit different.
Yeah.
She doesn't die. She walks to the top of the hill. She walks up, and there's, right, she only knows of this silo, but there's actually 51 of them.
Okay.
And and then she walks walking to the next one. And that one went through a series where everybody started to believe there was more outside. They escaped. They showed a little clip. Well, then she's walking through all the dead bodies. All the people that ran out, right? It still wasn't safe. Okay. But I really enjoy it. Rebecca Ferguson is the lead. Very, very good actress. It does little things up and down that just does enough twist to make it interesting for me.
Yeah.
And there's one guy in there that he has a very inquisitive mind, and he starts to find out stuff. He's put in a situation where he's forced to find out information to help this one guy, played by Tim Robbins.
Okay.
They call him he's the mayor in it, but actually he runs the whole silo.
Okay.
In a secret room. And,
it's like Oz.
Yeah, the man behind the door, right?
Yeah.
And there's aspects of Fallout the TV series, Fallout the game, but they do little twists enough to make it really interesting. I'm up to episode 9 now, and there's this actor. I'm gonna have to look it up real quick here. TV. I've seen him in a lot of different stuff, and he's a really interesting actor to me. I remember him not because of his performance on screen, but his performance. He did in the Planet of the Apes movies, or he played the one monkey that they find, and he speaks really good English. He's almost playing the same character.
What's the actor's name?
Steve Zahn.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
He's a good actor.
Yeah,
he's a good actor.
And he plays... he is in the silo that they find. He's in there. He's behind the door. The silo is wrecked, but he's still alive in there.
Okay.
And then you find going through his story, found out what's happening to, why he's in there, what's happening to him. There's other actors. There's a lot of small stories in it. It's really good. I mean,
it's good when they take small stories like that. And I think I know what you're getting at. Is they take small stories and it kind of builds to come together at some point.
You've got character development. You've got to see what happens. You put people in situations that they have to make choices they don't want a choice to do.
Yeah.
And it ended with this guy finding this tunnel and going through, and this beam of light kind of comes on and says, "Who are you?" He says his name, and it ends with, "You can't tell anybody about this. If we do, we have to inflict this rule." Something.
Wow.
If you can, I don't know. You said you have Apple or are going to get Apple.
We do have Apple. Yeah,
I recommend you do it.
Now.
I mean, we'll do it this way. There's so much to watch. If you can make time to watch it, great. We can talk about. But I'm not going to force you to watch it. But it is one of the shows that I do like.
Well, you are holding a gun on me, John.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it works.
Well, it's just that I don't watch. You guys watch a lot more different stuff than I do, and I don't.
It sounds like it's very suspenseful. I like suspenseful. I like good acting.
Mm-hmm.
If the storytelling's original, we usually watch at least three episodes of something and just go from there.
Yeah. So. Hopefully it gets you interested in 3. And the other one I'm just going to bring up real quick is I've watched all the Creaturecommandos from DC.
Okay. Yeah.
It was entertaining.
Yeah.
It was an adult cartoon. There wasn't any kiddie. It wasn't for kids, right? So there's a swearing and bullets and heads blowing up and Dr. Phosphorus melting faces and
okay.
It's set up for another season. The only sad part was they had a character they introduced. I'd never seen this character before, but they introduced basically to use her as fodder. He gets all the way through. Yeah, you've really kind of an emotional connection too.
Yeah, but that's what they wanted. If you felt an emotional connection and felt it when she died, mission accomplished.
It wasn't so much emotional connection. It's just like, if they could have gave her just a little bit more than other just being on screen. Because basically that's all she was on screen. She didn't do anything. So her emotional connection wasn't to, I mean, it would have been some on it. You'll have to let me go here again.
I saw James Gunn talking about the second season. How I have not watched it, but I saw how they set it up, and he was going on about how that they're going to do a zombie in the second season and King Shark in the second season. A few other ones.
Introduce him at the end.
Yeah.
King it's kind of like, and there's zombie, and there's a chick with bat. She's a bat chick.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
G.I. Robot comes back.
G.I. Robot comes back, and they said that everyone thought that he was not going to survive, and of course he's a robot. They just rebuilt him.
Yeah,
but
so it's the character is Nina Nazansky. She's a official lady like. She was born a child who had her lungs outside. Her father is an experiment to her. She using different DNA from different animals, and she turned into a person that could only live underwater. And
sometimes, go ahead.
I don't know if she was created just for the show or whatever, but it would have been a little bit more if she at least, for me, remember if she was more. Like she didn't want to do anything. They had her there going with the team.
Yeah.
But she didn't really do anything.
Yeah, whenever I think about characters like that, and basically they create those characters, they don't have them do much, and then at the end they kill them off to show kind of a brutality about the show. The biggest example I can think of that, it was the second season of The Walking Dead, when that child walked out of that barn.
Yeah,
she didn't have a big part, but I'm telling you, everyone watching that show was like, "Fuck, the little kid died."
Yeah,
and that's the prime example of how to do it right, where you feel so much emotion for a character who really wasn't that big, and sometimes they don't ruin it. It seems like this character was the same way. She wasn't there a lot, but she played a half-decent prominent part.
Well, she was there all the time when she was there. Like, say, I'm not saying she was just a small minor character that showed up maybe once or like every 2 episodes or 3 episodes. She was in every episode.
but she didn't have a big part. Same as I'm talking with this kid.
Yeah. Nice to meet you. If you watch it, you'll get more of an understanding of what I mean.
Yeah.
But so they're coming. Yeah, in the next season's.
How many episodes?
There's only 7.
7
30
episodes?
minutes.
Okay, 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did it in an evening. It's like watching a movie.
Okay. Well,
So.
James Gunn? He didn't write that, did he?
Yeah.
He wrote it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
see. I mean, he's They said it's a double-edged sword with what he's doing. He appears to be, except for the Superman, he appears to be kind of going with B and C-list characters like he did with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And people said it's either going to work or it's not going to work. So,
well, the thing is, he can take his own, and he doesn't have a lot of backstory.
No.
To worry about.
No.
Right? There's no one saying you can't do this with this character because no one's going to go. You don't really know a lot about this character.
Yeah, he's not an A-lister, so it doesn't really matter.
So. Superman and other ones where he does that, he'll get in trouble for.
Yeah, I think he'll do okay with that. To be honest, I'm looking forward to seeing
there's
the
different. I see 2 different things. One saying that they went test the audience and they didn't like it. Then another one say it gives a Guardians of the Galaxy feel to it.
Well, he does, and I don't know whether it was you was having the conversation with someone online where that electric guitar and that first twang, I was like, God damn it, he knows, because that type of music, remember Sweet's Band on the Run?
Yeah.
That first Guardians of the Galaxy, where literally Rocket Raccoon is shooting the guns to the drum beats.
Yeah.
And it just sold it. It just sold it, and that's what
well,
he
used, even in Creature Commando, they have used music.
Yeah, he takes classic rock, and people are like, "Oh my god!" It's 40 years old, so kids haven't seen it, and they're like, "Wow, that sounds really cool." But it's just rock and roll.
Most of the music in this one is like bands you never heard of. In some,
exactly.
Like the beat, because it takes place in a country over in Europe, so you're getting bands from Europe. It sounds like that. So
best way to do it. Best way to do it.
And so, what about you? I'm just gonna bring up those 2.
Monarch, Legacy of Monsters.
Oh yeah, you've caught up on that.
Yeah, I just finished the season last night. I enjoyed it. It. Overall, I really enjoyed it. There were a few of the acting that I was thinking, how'd you get your job? And then I researched them. I'm like, oh, that's how you get a job. So I enjoyed it because it did for me what I had said. You can't really flesh out human characters in a 2-hour Godzilla or King Kong movie.
No.
So they're not really given a lot of standing. So if something happens to them, you don't feel it.
Well, if you watch those movies, you realize that they know that. They know the writers know that they're filler. They get to the fights. The human reaction is filler.
In 2014, Bryan Cranston is filler. I was like, oh, that was, I was expecting a bit more, and we never got it. But this, you're able to flesh out the characters. Kurt Russell did a great job.
Yeah.
He's, I think it's the characters keep saying you look pretty good for an 80-year-old or 80-something-year-old.
Yeah.
I think he's in his 70s now. The rest of the cast, I don't know their names for the sake of me. They were Asian actors.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think one's a Japanese movie star.
One's a Japanese movie star.
The young man, yeah.
Yeah, they're all well done. I love the fact. I actually enjoyed the fact that they interspersed it with a dubbed dialogue in English.
Oh yeah.
Because it was a nice hybrid. It actually felt like a Godzilla series. That was a very good move on their behalf, because I guarantee you that helped them with their international audience. Nice hook for the second season.
Mm-hmm.
Very well done. They jumped ahead a couple of years. The CGI was well placed. There wasn't a ton of it, but when it did show up, you're like, fuck, that looks really good. So it was very well done. It's funny. It's funny when they were on the Monsters World, I couldn't help but have a callback to Arrow, because he shot on Vancouver. The series was shot on Vancouver in BC.
Oh yeah.
And it was shot. I looked like it was shot a lot on Vancouver Island. And when I saw a lot of the forest scenes in the later episodes, it looked exactly like the footage from Oliver Queen being on the island, and the same foliage and stuff. When that arrow came flying out, I was thinking about. I turned to Susan. I said, "Oh, crossover." So,
the young lady Anna's Sai.
Yeah, Saeed. Great
She-
actress.
Yeah,
Great
she
actress.
was in the Netflix series Shogun or whatever it was.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm gonna watch it. But
The anime Ren Watabe. So
yeah,
yeah,
there were the cast was very good. There was only one that I was like, it was a bit wooden acting, and I'm not sure actually how she get in there. But overall, very good series, well written. I didn't know where it was going to go, which was good, and they're really fleshing out that universe. They're doing, and that they did for zombies what The Walking Dead did for zombies, where you fleshed out, you care about the characters. But
Okay.
I hope that's not the end of. I don't want to give a spoiler,
Yeah.
but I really hope that's not the end. I mean, you didn't really see anything, but there's been a thing in Hollywood where they'll have the one and done with the certain actors, and I hope they don't. I hope he's back for the second season because I loved his interaction with the other characters. He had great chemistry with everyone in the show, and I kind of hope they have him back. But it was cool seeing, the attack on San Francisco and San Francisco City afterwards.
Yeah.
And that kind of going into it and showing that. I mean, I thought it was very well done. It surprised me. It was much better than I thought it was going to be, actually.
This actor that kind of want to be, he looks like he's only have like 4 credits to his acting career.
Really?
Yeah, that's all there is. I only see 4.
That's surprising because he's a very good actor.
Yeah.
Said most of them were. The only one was the lady who was the security for Monarch in the beginning and switched sides. Some of her acting was very wooden. Even Sue noticed that. She was like, goodness gracious. She's compared to the other ones, it just wasn't as strong, I felt anyway. So, but other than that, I thought it was very well written and acted, and I'm really looking forward to actually the second part. The teaser trailer's coming out in the next week or so. I believe I saw something on Twitter. But I love the fact that the nice hook. I mean, when I saw the hook, I was like, okay, you got me, fellas. So.
Yeah. And then anything else you want to bring up?
So watched a movie called Saturday Night.
Oh, the one about the Saturday Night Live. Okay.
Yes. And it was basically about the first episode of Saturday Night Live. And I was about 20 minutes into it. And I said to Sue, I said, this seems more style over substance. I was like, and it seemed like the walk. You ever heard the term walk and talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of walk and talk, and there was a lot of Easter eggs in there. I was like, okay, that's great. But then they really started getting into it, and it's amazing the stress that they were under to put that first show on the air, and the things that had to fall into place. And they're not kind to a few, like Chevy Chase. They just riddled his body with bullets. I mean, that run in between him and Milton Berle, that actually happened.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know whether it's true or not that Milty took his big wang out and just dropped it out and said, hey, look at this motherfucker. The dialogue. And he's played by J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
And it's fucking beautiful. He says, look at that. I was, he's going on like, allegedly, he met him and he was trying to fuck Chevy Chase's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And Chevy came up and tried to, say, get the fuck away from my girlfriend. He literally took his dick out and stand there talking to him with this fucking hog that Chevy's girlfriend's looking. I'm thinking, I really hope this happened in real life. But he's like, you know what? Yeah, he smacked Chevy Chase around pretty badly, but Chevy Chase doesn't come off very well in it at all.
Yeah.
And ironically, neither does George Carlin, which
really?
Surprised me. Yeah, he hosted the first show.
Yeah.
And there's an executive producer who he came off as kind of a bit of a dick, and someone really slapped him around one of the scenes. And I've been trying to research to see if that actually happened, where he was basically, he thought the comedy was shit. He didn't want to do the sketches. And my understand, he wasn't in any of the sketches. He just did stand up a couple of times during the first episode because he didn't find the sketches very funny. And there was those two were really, they had some shots taken. John Belushi to a degree, but the story with Lorne Michaels and the studio, and literally, they're counting down to 30 seconds, so they had choices. They could go to Carson, or they could go live. Yeah. And there was a guy played by William Dafoe, who was one of the big wigs at NBC, that literally 10 seconds left, he said, go live. And that was it. And I don't know whether that's real. I have to do some research to find if that actually happened, if they were just taking some liberties with it. But it was a really well done movie. And William Dafoe, J.K. Simmons, and the guy who played Lorne Michaels is really good too. But it was cool because you could see them going around in certain areas. And like, remember Robin Williams, the suspenders he wore?
Yeah.
They went by a guy and you couldn't see his head, but you could see that costume. And Robin Williams is at NBC at that point in time. And at that point in time, Milton Berle, the reason he was in the building is because he was shooting a show downstairs on the next floor. And Lorne Michaels literally went down to his, I don't know what some director of some sort and said, look, come upstairs right now. I'll pay you. And the guy left during the Milton Berle show.
Oh yeah.
If all that drama happened in that hour, that 90-minute period, because they're counting down the clock, 90 minutes of when this started. I think they took some liberties, but my God, there was a lot of shit that went on. Danny Aykroyd was there, Gilda Radner.
Yeah.
And they did a really good job with all the character development.
Where'd you watch this on?
I watched it on, I think it's on Netflix. I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix. It's called...
Yeah, I know.
It's called Saturday Night.
I'll get it out if I don't interrupt you.
Saturday Night. It's called Saturday Night.
Yeah.
And it's very good. I think you'll enjoy it if you watch it just for the throwbacks and how well they were done.
Yeah.
But it's fucking amazing, the stress. Like the board out there with all the, he's like, they're looking at this board, like an hour left. Like, how do we fit all this shit into the show?
Oh yeah.
And Lorne Michaels just went scrape down one side of it, and that's it.
Oh.
But I'd heard that Saturday Night Live had kind of a cutthroat atmosphere for years. There have been comedians that have come out of there, and they said it was just a fucking dog eat dog in those first 10, 15 years. And Billy Crystal was in that first season too. And there was Billy Crystal and another female comedian.
He was in the first. You sure he was in the first? Really?
He was in the first season. That's Billy Crystal, yeah. He was in the first season, and he was going to be doing a comedic thing with a woman. And he said to Lorne Michaels, I can't cut it down to 4 minutes. And she said, I can. And that was it. And it was just because they're showing this camaraderie between the two of them all during the movie, and then right at the end, she cuts the balls right off him.
Yeah.
And that was just showing, that was an example of how cutthroat that series was, where people would steal each other's ideas and just do anything to get on the show.
Yeah.
Very well done. Very well done.
Wow.
I was very impressed by it.
Holy crap. Yeah. All right. So let's move on to just general bullshit. Now I'm with the news.
The news.
Big, thick dick of entertainment news. Or is it? Or just a small dick?
Well, this one's pretty thick.
Okay.
Dimanche, I'm going to butcher the guy's name. Dimanche Hoshan.
Okay.
He was in Amistad. And he was, remember the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy? Who?
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Yes, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He had given an interview or was on a podcast or something, and he was saying he's barely making it. He says he believes he's underpaid, and he may be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That may have changed a bit in the last 6 years, but he said he was barely making it, barely making Hollywood. So I did some research, and I'm thinking, okay, he may be barely making it. I found 6 different sites with net worths on it.
Mm-hmm.
And his net worth ranged anywhere between $4 million and $35 million. And I was thinking to myself, holy shit. But he said he's been in Hollywood for over 2 decades. The first time I saw him was in Amistad, and that was 1997. So he has been here for about, 30 years now?
Yeah,
Almost 30 years?
Mm-hmm.
And he said he's still having hard time making ends meet.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It felt like it was one of those things where he was trying to get his accolades, but I looked at his net worth and I'm thinking, I would love to be in that fucking situation.
Yeah.
But that story popped today, but I don't know. He's a great actor. He should be absolutely.
Well, I think the problem with those is like you said, you went online to try and find some information that was either semi-accurate. I'll have to take semi-accurate, and then you can't say that your semi. Yeah. Oh, there goes a speaker. I'll pick it up later.
Bro.
And say you're semi making it, and then you're showing your net worth.
Yeah, that's. But did you ever see Blood Diamond with Leonardo DiCaprio?
No.
He's done a lot of good. He did Amistad, Blood Diamond, Guardians of the Galaxy. He was in A Quiet Place, the second part.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of really good movies.
I mean, he was in Gladiator.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, he hasn't had anything big, a big name, big consistent movie yet. He's just one of those actors, unfortunately, that he gets parts, but they're not constant. So
they should give him a lead. I mean, he and they do that, and there are plenty of actors over the years that have never taken leads in movies. They're just not. Hollywood doesn't see him as leading men. I mean, a guy like Robert Duvall, I don't think ever was a lead in a movie, but fuck, he's an actor's actor. Guys like that.
There's character actors that are always busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're good at being a character actor, so they always got to find a part for them.
Yeah, exactly. The director of Flash, Andy Muschietti, I believe that's his name, Muschietti.
Mm-hmm.
The reason he believes The Flash failed was because there are 4 quadrants, and 2 of those quadrants are young women and old women. And old women and young women never showed up for The Flash because they weren't interested in it.
Yeah.
And when he put that out, every comment I saw was like, are you fucking kidding me? There are a dozen other reasons why, from the show, and he said that the Flash character just wasn't that popular. And people were like, they did 8 seasons of it on TV. You don't make 8 seasons on TV without that. Being popular. And it seemed like a bit of sour grapes that he had, when he was asked about it, that was the reason he came up with. Yeah. There's the lead, obviously. Those issues have been well fleshed out. But it was very odd to see him bring that up. It's a bit of and directors get that way sometimes. When something doesn't work, they just go into the land of delusion and say, hey, this is why it happened. It's like, no, that's not why it happened.
There's tons.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with Grandma.
No. So. Because if let's just real quickly go over it, if they had put Grant in it, that wouldn't have been an issue.
Yes, exactly. Well, and it would have done better.
You couldn't use that. Yeah. You couldn't use the young women or the old women don't want to go see it. That's bullshit for that.
Flash had a pretty good audience, and even at the end, it was down to about 2 million. But still, you would have had 2 million guaranteed tickets, and if it was a good movie, you would have had people spreading it word of mouth. You would have had 2 million critics telling you what an awesome movie it was. So that's just horse shit. Mm-hmm. That's just directors, though.
Yep.
Moana 2. There is a copyright lawsuit that was just filed by an animator named Buck Woodall. He is alleging that Disney ripped off elements of a screenplay that he worked on called Bucky. I've seen the comparisons of the scripts. I've not seen his script, but there was a lawsuit he filed first, and the court found that he had filed it too late before the first Momoa came out, and I'm guessing because he didn't know what was in the film, but they said that there was enough there, and I've read the descriptors, and it's very detailed, like everything from tattoos to how the show begins to the monster in the I don't know. Have you seen Momoa?
No.
There was like, I would say there was 8 to 12 things that were very detailed, that if his script included this, he's got something there. And he's asking for 2.5% of the gross profits, which was out to like $10 million or $15 million.
Yeah.
But he was an animator, actually, and there was a couple of people within his realm who could have had access to that script who worked on Momoa. So there's a connection there. So I don't know whether he'll get it or not, but he just filed the lawsuit here, let me see, on Friday. So it's interesting. Like it happens everywhere, people rip people off. But if those specific things were in his script and they ended up in Momoa, then he's got a case, so.
Well, if he's only wants 10 point some million, who knows? Disney might just say, oh, fuck, that's chump change. Here you go.
Yeah,
Fuck off.
They'll give him the money with a nice what's that gag? What's that gag rule? Non-disclosure.
Yeah, no,
You can't talk about it.
Can't.
And they'll say,
"We'll sue you if you mention anything." But here's 15. Fuck off.
Win-win.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw this, and this is pop culture to me because it's going to change the world. The AI robot girlfriend is running for a. It was unveiled at the 2025 Consumer Electronics Show. This robot is running for $175,000. AI robot girlfriend, 2025 Consumer Electronics Show. It's running for $175,000. Humanity, as we know it, is going to change in the next 20 years because they're there. They're getting there. They're getting there. Take a picture. Take a look at that video and tell me that they're not getting there.
Let's see if we can find a video. Here we go. Live.
Oh, just watch the video for 30 seconds. I'll do commentary. It's a brunette or a blonde, if I remember. She's quite buxom, but she's actually speaking.
Aria?
And what's that?
Blonde?
A blonde or a brunette. I saw two of them, but I was like, wow, you guys are getting there.
I've got too many. I just need a video.
If you Google the 2025 Consumer Electronics Show,
I've got a bunch here, but I'm pinning the ones that you type. Like it's in the corner. Hey, look what we're doing here.
Okay.
That won't allow me watch anything because I can't.
But they're getting there. They really are getting there. It's just, wow. Oh no. They really are getting there, John.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there saying to myself, the way technology is going, in another 20 years, they're absolutely going to be able to sell girlfriends for about $5,000, and they're going to look, they're going to smell, they're going to taste, they got a whole ball of wax.
Met and taste. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, still too plastic.
But did you see what I was talking about?
Yeah.
They're like 20 years away. 20 years away. And it's like, okay, here we go down the rabbit hole.
You know what? Depends on who's running the country, which group or which religious group is running the country. You might be able to get some of these for senior activities in homes. Keep the seniors happy.
True. That's true.
You know?
Well, the worst case scenario is someone like an Emperor Palpatine that'll just execute Order 66, and they just start ripping cocks off all over the country. Just start ripping dicks off. That's the rule. Just rip whatever dick off's in their hand.
Yeah, and people getting your grandfather. I'm sorry, but your father died in the middle of the night. What? His cock got ripped off by an android.
Yeah. You find cocks in dumpsters all over North America.
You're just laying on the floor. People are slipping and trying,
Yeah.
Slipping in them and fucking, just like a banana slipping on a fucking cock.
Most of my conversation on this subject has come from the comments section on this, where they're like, you're going to have some guy that's just going to program them to rip dicks off at like en masse on all the, anyone who's fucking them across the country. So, but I was watching this and I'm thinking, wow, holy shit. It's not even, before, like even 10, 15 years ago, it was taboo. It was like, these dirty old perverts. This was at the 2025 Consumer Electronics Show. This wasn't in some fucking dirty adult sex expo. You know what I mean? Like that to me, when I saw where it was being done at, I'm thinking, this is a fucking VCR.
Was this in Vegas?
I don't know where it was at, but
because you bring up the AVN Awards, the Adult Video Awards.
Yeah, it's usually in Vegas.
It's just around the same time as that. Yeah. So they
possibly. I don't know where it was at, but I was sitting there saying to myself, this type of thing would have been at a different kind of a convention 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But they're like, fellas, this is this generation's VCR. Let's get it the fuck out there for mass consumption. And it's 175,000. You know how it works.
Yeah.
It was $500,000. Now it's 175. In 5 years, it'll be down to $100,000.
Yeah.
And then you'll be able to get it in the
going into the bank for a bank loan. What do you need this for? I'm getting myself a sex robot.
Well, I plan on fucking it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How we get? Do they like it? How the bank's gonna, approve a loan? Well, we won't approve a loan, but we'll give you a credit card for $20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I do it? You just slip between her arse cheeks.
Ding! Her eyes roll. If you get both get both pupils showing it.
That's crazy though. I mean, it's amazing. I never thought we'd get here in my lifetime, but I said I've made jokes with Susan. I said 20 years, and I'm about 73, 74. It's gonna be like, oh, okay, this is the way I'm going out. Just leave me in the fucking room and get out. So, okay, on to something more classy, folks.
Nah, we need more humor in this show, though. We seem to have too dry. So that's good.
Well, that's another thing I read about. It's not too dry. That's another.
Okay.
Lubricated. Just a little WD-40. Rory McCain is going to replace Rafe Stevenson as Baelor Skull.
Yeah.
In season 2 of Ahsoka. Now, I have not watched Ahsoka. What do you think of that pick?
I think
big shoes, but it's big guy.
Folks. Well, he's a big fella. He'll fill out the role. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, I've only seen him as the Hound in so
Game of Thrones.
I haven't seen him in other stuff, so I can't really base anything because that's all I've seen him in. I've got no say. I'll wait until I see the performance first. Like I can't give you an okay.
I'd be very happy if they let him do the Hound's language.
Yeah.
You like dick, do you? You like sucking dick, do you? Fuck you.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Same language.
Yeah.
Dick. I like that. I bet you do.
So now I can't give it. I have to see it first.
Have to see it first?
Yes, unfortunately. I can't give it.
Do you have any idea when the second season's coming out?
No idea. I'm going to interject something when you're talking. When you just mentioned the second season when it's coming out.
Yeah.
I heard, and I haven't really seen it, but I have no doubt this is true, that they've changed the Young Avengers to champions because they figure by the time that comes out, they won't be young anymore. No. Haley is about Ellie. Anyway, she's about ready. She's getting married, and I think she's going to have a kid. So she can't be Young Avengers. She's popping out kid. I mean, that's right. You can't be young. But anyways, she's not a young person anymore, and some of those, the young girl that played in Miss Marvel, I mean, she was basically still a young actor. She could have, but by the time she's going to be 22, 23. So
I think that whole genre, they're chasing farts for oxygen.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't, there's no, the comics never sold well. The characters weren't received well, but I just think they're going to do what they're going to do. I don't know where they go with that. The Young Avengers, I heard that bounced around for a while. It will all really, if Thunderbolts and the movie coming out on February the 14th, the Captain America allegedly won, if it does okay, they'll go forward. But if they both underperform or just perform at par, especially the Captain America one, I think they're going to reset the table. They'll have no choice. They just can't keep losing money the way they have been. And I mean, that Captain America one's an uphill battle right now. It's about, they've done a ton of reshoots. There was someone that just made a comment the other day that, it was Seth Rollins from the WWE had said that his part was cut from the new movie because he said just they did a ton of reshoots and they did a ton of script changes. And and I had put a comment out there that said basically when you do that over and over, I've rarely seen a film that comes out good after that being done. But we'll see. I mean, it's a lot of money too, but as I said, if both of those underperform or just perform at par and don't make any money, I think you'll see them pivot. And I think a lot of this Young Avenger stuff, which, the comics never did very well. I think it'll just go away, but time will tell.
Yeah. It looks like you're, pausing the thing. So I'm going to talk about a book I read. I talked about I'm trying to find some humor science fiction stories. I talked to you about this at the shop. It's very hard to find those kind of books. At least for me, it is. You just can't. There isn't a section for humor sci-fi at the bookstore or online. I mean, so I went on Amazon and tried to find something there, and I found this one book. It's by Craig A. Price Jr. It's a series of 4 books. I tried to see if it was made for younger readers or not. I didn't care. I wanted something different to read. So, but I see nothing on there. It's called Ghost Probe, a humorous science fiction adventure, Space Ghost Adventure Book number 1, and it's to say, with a strange radio signal detected in deep space, the president needs his finest officers to check it out. Unfortunately, the closest vessel is a lowly asteroid miner staffed with a ragtag crew of misfits. The leader is Captain Daniel, an unwanted in the future. Well, the unwanted in the book is basically somewhere along in the future, mankind cloning starts to take over, and clones basically run everything.
Okay.
Instead of having natural birth, they just clone people. And if you have a person of natural birth, you're unwanted.
Wow.
And so you're kind of like, you're bottom class, lower class people. Rigors of space travel are reserved for 2 sets of people: clones of the best and brightest officers, and the products of unplanned pregnancies. So it's maybe, if you're a clone and you're top genetically, you get the really good adventures. If you're unwanted, you get the scrap. You get whatever's there. And as one of the latter, Daniel is considered inferior to his peers and sees the exploratory mission as a chance to prove himself to the galaxy. So at this point, there's the clone ships, as you say, they're exploring they're picking up junk and stuff from miners, for mines to minerals. There hasn't really been what they've hoped to find other races out there. But they get this strange signal from a planet. He happens to be close to it, so they go and explore it. And there's a lot of references to 20th century. Even if the thing that makes me think this isn't for young readers, because some of the references they give, I got, but I don't think anybody.
Yeah, they do that sometimes.
Young wouldn't get it, right? So there's a lot of reference to that. It makes reference to pulp culture, and lighthearted banter. The crew is very, very casual. It's not. I mean, he's a very casual captain. He everything's, let's not worry about this and this and this. But when the shit starts to happen, it's a reverse. I'm the captain. The crew understands that, and they do their job.
Yeah.
So they have one human. He's like a mage, because the clones did experiments on him. They say we only use so much of our brain.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, what they experimented on his brain, and they started to open up more areas.
Okay.
But unfortunately, they started opening up some of these areas, made him smarter.
Ooh.
And made him a mage, almost like a mage in, they say when science and magic, they get to a point where they're undistinguishable.
Yeah.
So this guy's kind of like that part.
Telekinesis and that kind of stuff.
He has like, he can move objects. They keep calling him a Jedi.
Oh, okay.
He says, I'm not a fucking Jedi. I'm a mage. So he has a sword. He pulls it out and it glows green. He says, you're a fucking Jedi. But that's the humorous part about it. Uh-huh. And so they go to a planet. They start finding pyramids, just like in Egypt, on these different planets. And they go around. So it's their adventure. It's lighthearted. It has a combination, like this guy, like one of the critics is if you're a fan of the Orville,
Yeah.
First part of the Orville was too comedy for me. but gradually they started to blend it better towards the end. So that's what you get. And this is book 1 of 4. So after I read my next book, which is Norman Lear's autobiography.
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna pick up another one of them. They're online. I have to read them online. I can't. If you buy them online, it's like $20 Canadian. Or in an actual physical book.
Yeah.
And the Kindle version, it's like $5. So
that's not bad. Yeah.
No. But I really enjoyed it. It satisfied that itch I was looking for, humor and science fiction into it. So I recommend it. They gave it on the book read 4.1 out of 5, which is pretty good.
So where can you get it again?
Amazon.ca or Amazon if you're in the States, right? You go to Kindle.
Okay.
It's really weird up here. We can't get it on Kindle. You have to order it.
Okay.
Amazon, your regular account. You can't go to your Kindle account and say, okay, I want to buy this book. It doesn't allow you. It's fucked up.
Where? So. And confirm the title again? What was it?
It's Gay Probe. Ghost Probe.
Gay Probe. Ghost Probe. It's Gay Probe. Okay,
yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, can you read that one? Yeah, it was really good. Ghost Probe. Yeah, a humor-sized sci-fi fiction. It's just the Space Ghost Adventures Book 1 Ghost Probe. There's the title.
Okay.
Craig A. Price.
Okay.
So.
When you're talking about reading, we had talked, and I think maybe at the shop we were talking about Peter David.
Mm-hmm.
You had read some of his New Frontier books that he had written as novels. I just wanted to basically touch on the fact that he is having some medical problems right now. I was reading. There's a GoFundMe, folks. If you want to contribute to it, he has a GoFundMe set up. He was, if I may be wrong on this, but he was not eligible for some type of aid, and now he's having some very difficult financial problems with his medical health. So if you Google GoFundMe Peter David, I believe you'll be able to find a link. If you have a couple of bucks, give a couple of bucks. I mean, he's a great writer. John and I have talked about he did a great job on X Factor back in the 90s. He's a great job on the Hulk. The New Frontier books, he's a fantastic writer, and he seemed like a decent guy. People have been saying some very glowing things about him. So if there's an opportunity you can help him out, please do so.
Apparently it's finished. It's ended. So he raised just over 300,000 for him.
Oh, it's over. Okay, yeah. I didn't know that. But that's good. That's great. And the fact they're able to raise that kind of money tells you just exactly how beloved he is. And I wish him all the best. But I didn't know much about
in a mild heart attack.
Jesus. Yeah. Wow. I'll tell you, without getting too far deep into it, the U.S. Medical system, Jesus Christ, what an anaconda. It can just crush you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Peter David, and I hope he gets well soon. And if you're looking for some really cool sci-fi books, his New Frontier series are fantastic.
Well, he wrote for the Hulk.
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk with the comics.
X Factor. He did an X Factor run in the 90s. It was just fantastic, 30 issues or something. It was really good, good.
Yeah.
I have one more news story. Do you have TikTok, John?
No, I got rid of it.
Okay, then this won't really affect you. There is a showdown coming on January the 19th, if the Supreme Court has not struck down TikTok having to sell in the U.S. to a U.S. entity, they are going to shut it down, which I find fascinating on a bunch of different levels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you can't run, and let's be honest. TikTok is a Chinese app.
Yeah.
It is a Chinese app, and if they can't sell it due to national security, and they could get like $20 million for it. More than that. I've heard numbers talked around in the billions being tossed around for it. Why wouldn't you sell it? The only reason you wouldn't sell it is because once whoever gets it, they will take a look at what you've been doing with it. That happened with Twitter 2.0, where they kind of released, hey, this is what the folks were doing with it. And I'll be very interested. That'll be one of those things in a lifetime. I don't think I've seen something shut down in the U.S. that big of an entity, because TikTok's big. It's. I think it's a waste of time. I think it's very I think it's kind of insidious in some ways because the way that you're presented information on there, I don't think is a good way to learn information.
It does what it needs to do, which
Yes.
is help dumb down the population of Western culture.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's 15, 20-second clips, and it's just it's a really shitty way to absorb information.
When you
So
have when your populace is being slowly uneducated,
yeah,
to a point where they believe everything, and now they're educated to believe whatever they see on on TV or TikTok. And especially for the young, for TikTok, that's that and other stuff that's and you're not getting really educated in school, and you just see constant stuff online. It's a very good
propaganda tool
and attack on Western culture, which the populace is too stupid to see.
Social media is bad. This is the next level of bad, where it's just direct propaganda. I had it for about a month, and I remember being on there, and I'm thinking, you just know when you're actively being manipulated. So I'm not sad that it's going to be shut down at all, if it is. But the fact that they're like, you know what, we're not even going to sell it. If they were offered like $20 billion, we're not going to take the $20 billion. We're just going to shut it down. When someone does that, in my mind, it's like, okay, what is going on that you're not taking $20 billion? You would rather shut it down and not have anyone have access to anything inside that.
Now, the story you're talking about, is there any way that they're going to shut it down? They're just going to shut it down in the States?
Yes, just the States.
So I wonder how that works, where you... And it's the Chinese that'll shut it down?
Yes. Yeah. My understanding that that's who owns the app. I mean, honestly, here in Canada, there was I don't know whether it was a law that was passed or a rule that was passed that you cannot have on TikTok. If you're a governmental employee, you cannot have TikTok on any of your governmental phone. When they did that, I was thinking to myself, I'm surprised the populace didn't say, what the fuck? How bad is it?
No, because they're stupid.
But it's inserted it so much into lives. I mean, it's kind of like, I've seen some of the videos. I mean, as a guy, when you've got these hot moms that are on there shaking their, like, holy shit, that's stuff that you were like, God, I'd love to see her in her house shaking her ass, and there she is shaking her ass on the on the internet for a whole world to see. It's really broken through a lot of taboos and normalized a lot of shit. I mean, you have parents that are putting their kids on here, and just, it's so fucking weird. When you're able to step back, if you could have someone come back from like 15 years ago and look at social media as a whole, and especially with TikTok, you'd be like, what are you doing to your children? Yeah. It's bizarre. But anyway.
Well, there's some out there where the mom and the daughter get on and the mom's 30 and the daughter's 15 or 16. He said, oh, you got knocked up when you were around that same age. Now you're shaking your ass with your daughter.
Yes, it's just insane. And I'm thinking, it's... I don't know. It's it's one of those things, when you're not buying a product, you are the product.
Yes.
And they're doing it for fames and likes, and yes, some people make money off there, but most people.
Speaking of that, I saw a thing on was it Instagram? I have Instagram.
Yeah.
But I don't get a lot of shit. I get the shit just I want, like Liverpool and Wrexham, and follow some of the actresses that I like. But there was you get those shorts in them. So they're just small little shorts. This girl's 15, and she's crying because she lost likes. Her whole existence had to do with likes, and she felt not justified of being who she is because she didn't have enough likes. And that's just the way it is, right?
It's rough. I can even on a X, and to lesser degree, the few I read on Blue Sky, is that you can tell how old someone is by the way they react and how they write on those platforms. Mm-hmm. If someone's complaining about losing likes and losing followers, I'll tell you right now, that person's under the age of 35.
Mm-hmm.
They're
they have, that's the only way they justify their existence.
They don't know any other way, and that to them is social currency. If I lose followers, if I lose likes,
it's almost like high school again, right?
Yeah, I'm less of a person. It's very bizarre. But yeah, on the 19th, TikTok, maybe no more. I'm actually Kevin O'Leary, the Canadian Shark Tank.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up, but I couldn't remember his name. But he was
talking about wanting to buy it from Trump, he's kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a fan of the guy.
Me either.
He's in the village of that whole crew.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's one of those things. If he does buy it and they can make it, you know, it's different from Chinese. Chinese TikTok is vastly different than American TikTok. On Chinese TikTok, they only have positive stuff. They have awards and they have competitions. It's totally different. And that's why I don't think they want to sell it, because they really don't want people to see what they've been doing with it. Just my theory. But podcasts. I got a few podcasts. I got a few podcast reviews here.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Have you ever listened to any of the Undertaker's Mark Calloway's 6 Feet Under?
No. You know, here's the thing. I really do kind of want to listen to those, but with the other ones I got, and like Jim Cornette, like I love it, but that's 3 hours. And
it is true. Well, Undertaker's only about 40 minutes.
See,
so he cuts it down.
That'd be good. 40 minutes. It's not, you know, I could break it up, but I do listen to my own podcast, not this podcast, but
He means this podcast, folks.
No. I mean the radio shows that I put up, because for my job I have to drive around the city all the time. So having those radio shows on, I leave them for when I can listen to my podcast. Listen to a lot of Bill Maher. His
Club
relax
Random.
Club Random. I do listen to those, Mark Maron and stuff like that. So it's got to be short.
Well, these are he'll have like 40 to 45 minute episodes, and then that's a two-parter. It's just a two-parter podcast. He'll have another 45 in the next week. The two that I'm here to talk about is, do you remember Teddy Long?
Yeah.
He was the manager on SmackDown. Don't hate the player. One-on-one with the Undertaker, and he was in WCW, and he managed Doom. And the thing I like about, and these are the ones I want to highlight, good storytellers keep me entertained the entire podcast. And he is a great storyteller. He tells about how he got in the business. I didn't know, but he worked on a show called James Brown had a variety show called Future Shock.
Oh yeah.
And he worked on that show, and he worked with James Brown when he was younger. And how he got into wrestling was he got into the building for free, and that's how he got into wrestling, because he was able to get comp tickets, so he got into the backstage area. And he gives the evolution of how he got into wrestling, putting up the ring, and he told a story that was just gut-wrenching about one Christmas down at the soundstage in Atlanta. Him and his 6-year-old son spent all night setting up the ring by themselves. Just stories like that. There's some really, really good stories. He's a good storyteller. And he talks about, you know, how he just took ring jackets from the beginning, and his relationship with Vince McMahon, and how, you know, Vince, he had a good memory. And that's why Vince finally noticed him, is the fact that he'd done a promo and he could just bang it off, no problem. And it's a great interview, and they had a lot of laughs, and some of the stories you just busting a gut laughing because they're so funny. So that's actually a two-parter. It's on there. If you go look, and you can see it. It shows Teddy Long. I think it was like maybe a month ago. The other one, 6 Feet Under, Hornswoggle. Same idea. Just fucking hilarious. And you know, and the guy's actually, he does stand-up comedy now. Again, another great storyteller. I mean, he tells these stories, you know, of him being, because they used to put him under the ring a lot, because he was Vince McMahon's son, and when he first came out, he spent a lot of time under the ring. And just one small story, they said they were over in Europe, and they kept throwing a live chicken under the ring with him, and he was terrified of chickens.
Oh fuck.
So they were fucking with him on live. So she said, I used to love the international tours, because it was like a rock and roll tour. You're always on the bus, and everyone was just trying to keep entertained. And they were talking about, you know, all the stuff that used to go on the locker room. They used to have remember, you know who Tommy Dreamer is?
Yep.
Yeah. They used to have Tommy Ball, where Tommy used to say, Tommy Ball. You ever heard of Tommy Ball?
No, but I know Tommy Dreamer. I know the wrestler. Yes, from ECW and that. Yeah.
Yeah, Edge and Kane started it. Tommy was sitting up there, and his balls, it was on slats, and he was sitting up over the locker room, and his balls are coming down through the fucking slats. because he was shorts. He had no underwear on. So Kane and Edge started the game. Try to hit him in the nuts with like a quarter or whatever, and that was Tommy Ball. And it just, he said, over the tour, it just evolved until finally people were fucking throwing like, like cookies and shit and trying to tag him in the balls with it. And he said it just grew. And Tommy would sit up there on this thing with his balls hanging through, and they played Tommy Ball. Just stories like that. And there's it's one of those things I'm laughing my ass off at work, and I'm thinking, I got to tell the world I'm listening to this shit.
Yeah.
So Teddy Long and Hornswoggle, it's the podcast where I said over the last 6 weeks. They're 2-parters, about 45 minutes apiece. Well worth it. If you're just looking, for a cool inside look at the wrestling world, in the vein of storytellers like Jim Cornette and Bruce Pritchard, they're worth a listen. Worth a listen. The other one I had was Your Mom's Host. That's with Tom Segura and his wife Christine. Have you heard the name Armie Hammer before?
Yep, I've heard Armie Hammer.
He's the guy.
Said he wouldn't mind, tasting human flesh. Yes,
that was the guy who, this took place during the COVID era, where he basically lost everything, and he there's two sides to every story. I've said this, I've said this before. He said, I just want to squeeze a piss right out of you or something like that. You don't actually mean it. And he said, I was a guy, and this is just part of it. He said, I was a guy, I liked fucking hot women. So basically, I would go for 6 weeks, I would wine them, dine them, fuck them, and then I would say goodbye. And they were talking about the psychology behind this. And he said, this one particular person who released all these texts, and it was all texts, and, she thought she could change him. She thought she could change him, and she couldn't. And when he broke up with her, she said, okay, motherfucker, I'm going to release everything. And some of those texts it was in text. And he said, yes, I went too far. I said things I shouldn't have said, but all of it was just, I'll fuck the brains out of you. You don't think when you say you're going to fuck the shit out of somebody, you don't really think, you don't really mean you're going to fuck the shit out of them. And he said that was the vein it was in, but he said it destroyed his whole world. He got dumped from movies, friends. He said it was the loneliest time. He said he moved actually to what did he say he moved to? Somewhere in the U.S. He was selling cars. He said he said all of his movie projects got canceled. He was tossed out, but he's actually kind of making a comeback. He's done a few movies, and he's got his own podcast now, and he has his mom on there. And he said it was very therapeutic. He said everyone's got a thing. And when your thing is put out for the whole world to see, he said, you feel very naked. And it was a great interview from that point of view of seeing someone who was just not at the pinnacle of Hollywood, although he did have a decent career, just be ripped apart over text from an ex.
Wow.
It was powerful stuff. But it's a if you go to Your Mom's House, that's the podcast, and it's Armie Hammer. And he was in The Social Network. He was in Hotel Mumbai. He had a decent career, and he just lost it all. And he talks very honestly about it. It's no bullshit. He's like, I lost everything, and it's starting to come back. I'm getting a second chance. And there's very few of them. Some of the guys, they just lost everything. You look at a guy like Louis C.K. He never came back. Well, he came, but he never came back.
Yeah, well, I think he's making a slow comeback too. I think a lot of time if you just give these, there's a good thing. I was listening to another podcast, and it was Bill Maher talking to John Cryer.
Yes,
and they're talking about how Charlie Sheen, like he took a knife to his wife's throat and beat, like to hit hookers and threw a hooker at a hooker and did all this stuff, but he gets a Super Bowl commercial.
There's some guys that are just Teflon. I mean, there's they went after a few of them. They went after Rogan. The thing is, you can't really give a fuck if they smell blood in the water. It really is a shark mentality. If they think you're bleeding, they'll just fucking not stop until you're dead. They're and again during that movement, that moment in time, there are people who absolutely deserve to be fucking destroyed. And there are some folks that the blood got in the water and they were just chewed up.
Yeah.
So,
no. All right. That's a nice quick little show. You think so?
Hour and 15? Yeah, hour and 15.
That's
Yep.
good enough. That's good enough. It's like we said, don't want to listen too long. So, yeah, folks, we popping this up on Wednesday. I should be able to hit with the 2 other shows coming up on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's classic thrillers and classic sci-fi. And as I said, there'll be some changes coming up to the site. But most of you people, actually, I don't have a site. It's just the logo and stuff. I haven't had the site. I gotta go. I've talked to you before. I'm trying to buy the shit off of WordPress and maybe start another thing. Anyways, so anything else to add? Yeah, baby steps.
No, not really. I mean, I'm yeah, my social media, I'm not on there as much as I used to.
I'm not, and I know you got to be on there for people to find stuff.
Yeah, that's it. You gotta. It's very much the most giving them food, and it does what it wants. Like you have to live on there in order to get any engagement, and I'd rather just not live on there.
Yeah,
so.
That's the same with I am. So that's why, even though we'd like more listeners, we don't get a lot. It's it is what it is.
Yeah, the price isn't worth it.
No, I'd rather pay someone to do it.
Yeah,
be the social media manager, but then I'd have to win some money.
It's true.
All right, folks. So thanks for dropping in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with Paul, and that may depends. Those shows go pretty long, so we'll probably go back to splitting them in half.
Yep.
And yeah, thanks, folks. See you later.
All right, take care. I gave it to her right in the can.
Yeah,
right in the can.
Gotta find it. There it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.
That's all, folks.
Thank you. Come again.
Why, you little?